Are you ready for a violent video? I'm just kidding. This is about history. So you did chapter 8, section 1, and in that packet, all of the monarchs were trying to gain power and increase their power because they had equal or less power than nobles and the church. So that packet's all about what they did to try to get power. This PowerPoint and video is about how their actions gave them more power. So first up, we have the issue of tax money, collecting tax money. How does this help a monarch? So the first bullet tells you how it's helpful in that you know who's supposed to be paying taxes and how much you're supposed to pay. So this happens in modern times. People pay property taxes based on the value of their property. They also have to pay income taxes based on how much they make. And taxing is somewhat inevitable, in my opinion, when it comes to government because you need money to do things, and a lot of times it comes from tax money. Anyway, so once you have the money, it can help build up a country, such as supporting the military or other areas of the government, and services are provided for citizens. So as a teacher in a public school, my salary comes from the property taxes of the town where I teach. Well, at least some of what I get paid. And we want to have good services for fire and police, you need to have money, obviously, to do that. So a lot of times this money comes from tax money. At any point in the video, if you need to pause it to write down what you need, that's what you should do. So another action taken by some monarchs in chapter 8 section 1 was gaining the support of the middle class. Well, they did things that earned them the support of the middle class. This is good because a lot of people support the monarch. Since this is a large social class, you want the middle class to be on your side. This is going to help you out. Next up, how does strengthening a country's system of laws do anything? Well, if you have laws that are understood by people and written down, this gives order and structure to the society. So people know what they aren't allowed to do or what they shouldn't be doing. That doesn't mean they always follow it, but the laws are recorded somewhere. So you have the laws, and then if these laws are enforced, there's consequences for people who break them. And if there's consequences, people are more likely to follow the laws, in theory. So if you think of a highway, if you ever travel on a highway, it's possible that the speed limit isn't always enforced. So people know driving on the highway that they don't have to go 55 or 65 because it's not like there's a state trooper trying to catch people speeding every day. So people may be more likely to go over the speed limit because they know they aren't going to get caught on a regular basis. There may be a fluke time, at least that they get caught, but at least that's been my experience when I travel on 495 to get to and from work. And also you can think of a school. If you've ever been in school and there's a school handbook and you know that there's some rules that aren't enforced very much or at all, you know you don't really have to follow them because you know not much is going to happen if you break them. Next up, how does creating a bureaucracy in the government help? Well, some people would say that a lot of times there's too big of a bureaucracy, but in general, back when governments were first being created and really strengthened in the Middle Ages, having a strong bureaucracy tells you who's supposed to do what. So if the person doesn't do it, or if the department doesn't do it, you know who to blame. So if you can divide responsibilities amongst different departments and people, you know who's supposed to do what, and then ideally the government runs smoothly and effectively because you know who's in charge of what actions. Increasing a country's territory. So if a monarch controls a large area of land, it's highly likely that they'll be more influential than someone who controls a smaller country. So that's as long as they're a good monarch. If they're ineffective, this is going to be bad. A lot of people aren't going to like them. But if they are in charge of a bigger area, they might have more control and influence because they are controlling and influencing more people. So if you think of modern times in 2014, when this video is being made, the United States, that the person in charge of the United States is more widely known than the president of, let's say, what's a small country, the Ivory Coast or Togo in Africa, or Kazakhstan. So I can't tell you who the leaders of those countries are, and I'm not a country expert, but a lot of people around the world can probably tell you the president of the United States before they can tell you the president or leaders of those other countries that I mentioned. And I am not trying to single them out in any negative way. My point is just a lot of times leaders of bigger areas are more widely known than leaders of smaller areas. Lastly, having the support of the Catholic Church. Why does this matter? Why is this a good thing? Well, back in the Middle Ages, the Catholic Church was extremely powerful. This was a very good ally to have because the church had a lot of influence, a lot of people were Catholic, and it was very powerful. So a monarch who has the Catholic Church on his or her side, that's going to be good because that is a very strong, powerful ally, just like the notes say. I probably should have said this earlier, but I will let you know when you need to fill in the final column of monarchs who completed these actions. But for now, you should just have the middle column filled in with information. If you missed something, go back in the video to write it down. And till next time, I'm Miss Morgan. Stay swoogity and keep learning history.